Hey guys, it's Sarah from Just My Typewriter, and happy International Typewriter Day. So today is the day that typically we celebrate the first granting of the patent for the commercially successful typewriter, and it has been dubbed National Typewriter Day. And in honor of National Typewriter Day, I thought I would sit down and look at all of the typewriters that I've ever had, bought, sold, or worked on. And it was quite extensive, as in I had a total of 105. And that doesn't even include the Barbies. So I started collecting typewriters, working on typewriters about 8 or 9 years ago. I purchased my first ever typewriter, which was a Corsair Deluxe. And after that, I just started amassing quite a few machines really quickly. I got a couple standards for Christmas that year. People in my life just started giving me the typewriters out of their basements because they didn't know what else to do with them. And now, almost a decade later, I'm finding them on my own, buying them, fixing them, and then also selling them locally on Facebook Marketplace. So I have worked with quite a few different typewriters, and most of them are the pretty common ones, things like your Royal Quiet Deluxes or the Smith Corona 5 series, but I have had quite a smattering. That's a fun word. I only started tracking machines I actually bought in a year for the last 2 years, so a lot of this was based on memory, and then also scrolling through my Instagram, which is just.my.typewriter. I've had tons and tons of content posted out there, and if I buy a machine, I usually post it on there with a few exceptions. So I tried to cobble this together with what I remembered I bought, what I had on Instagram, and then also what I sold on Facebook Marketplace, because I can't remember all of them. Throughout the list, it looks like I've had at least 27 different Smith Corona machines. I would say that Smith Corona is probably my favorite brand to buy and to work on. I find a lot of them. I am located in the United States, so I run into a lot of Smith Coronas. They're a pretty common machine out here, and a lot of those have been 5 Series machines because I enjoy working on them. I've said it before, they're probably my favorite line of typewriters, and I just really enjoy their construction. They come in a lot of cool colors. So that has probably been the biggest proportion of my list, 27 Smith Corona machines. Followed very quickly by the Royal brand. I've had around 24 Royals. I've had 4 or 5 of these 1950s Quiet Deluxe body types between the Aristocat and the Champion and the Royal Quiet Deluxe itself. And every single one of them has needed some sort of repair or maintenance, except for I think one. And even when I had a perfectly working one, I still didn't like the typing experience. Now a lot of that is based on preference, and I fully encourage you to try and find what you like. It's just not my preferred machine. Despite the Royal brand not being my favorite to work on, I have had quite a few of them. So I've had about 24 Royals, which is just 3 under the Smith Coronas, which either means I need to buy more Smith Coronas or buy more something else. I've had 12 Remingtons. I've purchased a lot more Remingtons in the last 2 years. I think for a long time I was kind of intimidated to work on Remingtons because I found the ribbon mechanism kind of difficult to understand, and I didn't find them very often either. I find a lot of Royals and Smith Coronas or rebadged machines from those original body types. I don't always find Remingtons in my local area, and when I do, I'm a little bit more hesitant to try them, but I have had more success in the last few projects, so Remingtons have definitely jumped up in the last few years for me. The next largest category or next largest brand that I've had is Underwood. I've had 10 Underwoods. I actually used to buy a lot more of these when I started. I love the 50s style of their Golden Touch machines. I've had a few Golden Touch ones. I've had the Underwood Star, which I did sell as well. That was the blue color. I love the style of them. The typing experience, not so much, and I have found that those are kind of prone to rusting, at least those ones that I've used. So I don't buy Underwoods as much anymore. In fact, I don't even know if I have an Underwood in the collection right now. I like them. I don't see them as frequently, and as you get into the 60s and 70s, a lot of these are going to be from the Olivetti kind of designs and factories because they combined. And once they start getting into the plastic body types, they're a lot harder for me to work on or maintain. And Olivetti, which I have had a few of those, I've had 3 Olivettis. A lot of those have been like Underwood-esque in their style. So not the brand for me, I think. And I also have a local Underwood collector in my area. And so when there are Underwoods on the market, I usually either send them to him or expect that he's going to pick those up. So Underwood's a brand that I don't mess with as much anymore. Let's see, my next highest category was Olympias, which is funny because I used to never see these, and if I did, they were really expensive. I think my first Olympia was probably an electric. That's the most I've had of the Olympias, is mostly electric machines. My first manual was an Olympia SM9. was beautiful. I loved that machine. I did trade it for a Script Royal, and since then I've just been kind of trying to chase the feeling of that machine. I've tried it in SM7. I didn't like the pitch of the keyboard. It was too high for me. I've had a Script SM4, I think. I recently rehomed that as well. So I just don't keep Olympias around. I've had mostly electrics, and every single one of them, except for the Report Deluxe, have given me trouble. So I don't know. If I see another Olympia electric, I'll probably buy it, but that doesn't mean I should. The next highest category I've had is Adler, which is kind of surprising because I don't feel like I have had very many Adlers. I do have one on hand that I keep. That is my Adler J3. The Adler J3 for me is just kind of the perfect machine. I love it. Didn't have a case, but I've made my own. And I have recently acquired two other Adlers, a J2 in the 70s style, as well as an Adler Satellite. And that one's been interesting. So this is a brand that I've seen more of recently, but I don't tend to keep those because I have kind of my preferred Adler already in the collection. After that, I have Brother-built machines. I really like working on Brother-built machines. I feel like I do see them frequently, and I mostly get the ultra-portable Brother-based machines, and they're usually rebadged as something else, whether that's a Sears brand or mostly Montgomery Ward's. I've had a few of those as well. They are Brother built, and I do enjoy that style. I did have a Brother that was like a Spanish keyboard, which was really interesting. So those are well built for me. I enjoy them. I don't tend to keep them. In fact, I think the one that I have right now is kind of an ongoing project, but I don't think I will keep it long term. I tend to flip those because they're nice and portable and solidly built, especially when they're in the metal bodies. And I do think they make good first-time typewriters for a lot of the people that I sell to. 3 IBMs. I started with an IBM Selectric 2. It was actually in the show Mindhunter, which I went back and rewatched recently. It was so cool to have that in my collection. The machine itself was screen used. It was really prominently featured. It was bought in a prop house in Pittsburgh and gifted to me. What a cool thing to have owned. I did rehome it eventually because I just never used it. And when I moved to this apartment, it was kind of a big thing to move. So I did rehome that, and then of course bought the IBM project, which I have had on this channel before. And that was just kind of its own little problem and project. I would like to avoid buying IBMs in the future. I just don't feel skilled enough to really work on them or fix them. I have done it, but poorly, and it took me a year. I just don't think I use them enough to really kind of justify buying another one or working on another one. The IBM project that I had, I actually totaled it up, and it's probably the most expensive repair that I've ever done. I bought it for $10, but I spent over $100 in parts and oils and greases, and I donated at one point to Phoenix Typewriters channel because of all the videos that I had used to kind of watch and learn what I was doing. So that was one that I definitely went over budget on. And I just don't think for me as a typewriter user, that's the route that I want to go. I've had 2 Consul typewriters. I did rehome one of these with another collector, and then I have one in my permanent collection. That would be my Century typewriter. It's not labeled Consul, but it's one of the coolest things that I've ever owned. I have had 2 Hermes machines as well. I did rehome my Hermes Ambassador to another collector. What a cool project. And then I do have currently my Hermes 3000. That was a $20 Facebook Marketplace find, and then a lot of repair. It's interesting. It's not my favorite typewriter to use, but I do think it's good to have it in the collection for variety and for testing. I get a lot of comments on videos asking me to test kind of specific models, and I really only make videos with what I have or what I can find in my local area. I find it to be very difficult to find Hermes machines in my local area, so when I do find one, I want to keep it for a little while so that I have some variety for you guys on the channel. I've had 2 Sears branded typewriters, more than that really, because I counted some of them towards Smith Corona, like the Citation, but 2 that were Sears specifically branded. One, We Are Memories Keeper typewriter, which is a modern built machine, and I immediately turned it into a parts machine, and it saved my butt on multiple occasions when it comes to springs and screws specifically. And I had one Omega typewriter, which was a little interesting project on its own. That's kind of the full extent of the typical brand breakdown that I've had over the years, out of the 105, most of them have been Smith Coronas and Royals. In fact, that's about 50%, over 50% of what I've had in the collection. And that makes sense for my local area, especially being in America and in Pennsylvania. Those are the brands that would be accessible to me. I don't really buy typewriters online, so most of them I'm getting through yard sales, estate sales, flea markets, Facebook Marketplace pickups. I do have other machines in my collection. The biggest portion of my collection right now is my Barbie collection, and I have about 9 Barbie typewriters. Half of them are electric, half of them are manual. I have the oldest one from 1976. It's this little dial typewriter. The most new version in the Barbie line would be my E118 model, which is this plastic one that I found on eBay. All of my Barbie machines, except for the little dial one, came from the UK, which meant that they had a lot of cost in shipping, even though the machines themselves were not very expensive. The Barbie electric typewriters didn't really make it here to the United States. They weren't sold here, and they have kind of an interesting history where they had a coding function embedded in them through the original manufacturer of Mahano, and Barbie made it kind of difficult to understand how to use that. So when their machine shipped out and you'd accidentally trip the coding function, you might not always know how to get it out of that coding function. So it did lead to a lot of them just being thrown away because they are toys. So I'm very proud of the Barbie collection. I will say a lot of them have also come from subscribers and fans of the YouTube channel and you guys, and that has been such a cool way for me to kind of cultivate that collection. I'm not sure yet what I'm doing with the Barbies. I'm trying to find a museum that will take them and put them on display. So it's been an interesting project for me, kind of cultivating this aspect of my collection. I don't count it in the total of big typewriters or real typewriters. So I've had, in addition to the 105, 9 Barbie typewriters. I also had a couple toy typewriters as well. I've had about 4 toy typewriters. These you're going to find out in flea markets and antique stores specifically. So I had a Tom Thumb President toy typewriter. I had the 1904 Simplex style dial typewriter. That was really cool to find. I also had a Buddy L orange typewriter that I had and bought at one point, and the Typatoon, another part of my permanent collection. The Typatoon was probably my favorite repair that I've ever done because I got to work with my whole family and tune the whole thing. It worked some different parts of the repair process for me that I don't always get to do on a manual typewriter repair. Of the models that I've had the most frequently, I've had so many 5 Series machines. I just see them everywhere. The 5AX and the 5 original series, I've had maybe a dozen of those. In fact, I just picked up another one recently. So those I find a lot. I didn't find them when I started collecting, but as I got a few years in, I just started seeing them everywhere. For me, these are just a really standard, easy typewriter to get a hold of. They're also what I recommend for first-time buyers. I've had the 4 to 5 QDLs. I honestly can't remember. I tried to go through my videos and see how many I bought, but there were so many of them and they all had different problems. It was kind of hard to keep track. I've also had 3 Corsair typewriters in my collection, which again is another one that I tell people not to purchase. These are the plastic body machines from the 1960s out of Smith Corona in their lightweight portable or ultra portable machine body style. They come with an enclosed lid on top. It was the first typewriter in my collection, and I bought it because of the color, and that's a good reason to buy a typewriter, to get into typewriters. It was for me. When I kind of started buying typewriters to fix them, I didn't see these as frequently, and when I did, they were usually broken. I did sell someone a typewriter for a partial trade of a broken Corsair style machine, and I learned a lot working on that typewriter. I had a broken loose dog on that machine, and it took us a really long time to figure out how to do that, and also how to take it apart and put it back together. That was kind of a big learning experience for me, and it does make me avoid purchasing these. Of course, I broke that when I went and bought the Bling typewriter, which again was another large project. I would say that the plastic style machines are tough to work on because once you break the plastic, you can't go back. You could patch it with epoxy, which is what I have done, or buy replacement parts from other people's machines, but it's not something that's as easy to fix as some of the other things you might have in a metal-based machine. So for me, these are machines I now avoid buying, but I have had some experience with those. It seems like I'm always posting about a Corsair or a Carnegie Cougar body style, but I've had about 3 across the entire spread of 100. I also went up and tallied how many I've sold on Facebook Marketplace. That is my preferred method of selling typewriters. I've given a lot away, but when I go to sell a machine, I put it on Facebook Marketplace, and I think I've sold about 58 machines on Facebook Marketplace. Where the other 50 went, I don't know. I have probably 20 to 30 typewriters right now, definitely over 20. I have a lot listed right now on Facebook Marketplace that I'm trying to rehome, but I've sold at least 58 on Facebook Marketplace. When it comes to rehoming typewriters, I first post them on Facebook Marketplace, and I usually sell to first-time buyers. I don't really sell to collectors as much. They're just not in my local area. But the more I get into this, the more I like to have a few extra on the side in case someone in my life is like, hey, I'd really like to try a typewriter. Or a local school says, hey, we'd like to have a typewriter for our classroom. So I do keep 2 or 3 around that are in that buy, sell, trade pile that if somebody's looking for a typewriter, I have one for them. I don't think I have a favorite typewriter in my collection. The Barbies themselves as like a little collective I think are so interesting and something that feels really unique to me as a collector. The Smith Corona 5 series is definitely my favorite to work on when it comes to typewriters, although I'm always fascinated working on a Hermes or an Adler machine, the engineering that goes into them. It's really interesting to me. So I do find those kind of fun. The repair project I've enjoyed the most is definitely the Type-A-Tune, but I really did enjoy working on the Hermes 3000. As frustrating as it was, I learned a lot in that process, and retrospectively, I'm glad I'm not in it now, but the Monster Royal 10 project as well as my IBM project, both of those were buying a bad typewriter series. I learned so much in those projects that were really long and intensive that I have now used in a lot of other projects. So as my dad likes to say, it's the price of an education. I learned so much going through those repairs. As frustrating as they were, I now have a lot more information that I can use on the machines that I'm working on currently. I would say typewriters for me are kind of an ongoing process. I'm always learning something. It gives me something to look for when I go to flea markets and yard sales and thrift stores, which is, I think, more of the hobby for me is the going places and looking for things than it is the actual use of the machines. I do use my typewriters to write pen pal letters, and I do use them in different ways throughout my life, but I don't sit down every day and type at a typewriter. That's not the kind of collector or user that I am, and I would say that making videos and fixing typewriters specifically is where I find a lot more enjoyment out of them as projects. And there's something really satisfying about buying something that's in not so great condition and then getting it to work. It's a really satisfying process for me. It's why I encourage people to learn a little bit about typewriter maintenance and repair so that A, you can do this affordably and it doesn't have to be daunting, but B, there's a lot of satisfaction that comes from the process of fixing something and knowing that you did it yourself. And that has been instilled in me the whole way through growing up. I mean, my dad has fixed everything in our house and all the cars in the driveway. And being able to do that, especially on my own now in this environment where I don't have a whole garage full of tools, has been really rewarding and confidence boosting. So when I get into a project and I get stuck, I know I at least have people I can go and ask for help, especially in the typewriter community, or I know that I can poke around enough to figure it out. That is one thing I've learned about myself throughout working on typewriters, is that if I don't know how to do it, I will find out eventually. It may take me a year, but I'll figure it out. So I hope you are enjoying your National Typewriter Day, and I hope you get to do something writerly or typewriter related. If you're interested in more typewriter content, there are some other videos here on this YouTube channel, as well as on my Instagram at just.my.typewriter. And I thank you all so much for watching, and remind you, you're just my typewriter.